Always determined.
Pure.
He's irreplaceable.
Be respected.
Inspirational.
I knew before he was born, actually. Just call it a mother's instinct. I just knew he was going to be different. He's 6 weeks old, he had his first upper GI because he was always that uncomfortable. And then he went through a lot of testing until he was diagnosed with diabetes at age 2. So I think pretty much all along we knew
Something was up.
something wasn't right. To have a child diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 2 is pretty devastating. So, and then when we found out about the disc keratosis congenita, it was almost a relief to finally have an answer because it was always a missing piece of the puzzle, but it was definitely not the answer that we wanted.
Yeah.
Almost all the kids will be affected by bone marrow failure. He's already got liver fibrosis, probably will have pulmonary fibrosis, and has immune problems, and has diabetes and learning issues. So when he's only 18.
He enjoys everything.
He enjoys the simple things. Like just hanging out with the kids down the street. We remember him just playing with the neighborhood kids or, rollerblading outside.
Best friend
Yeah,
growing up. Who was it?
Will Murphy.
Who's Will?
He's a kid that lives down the street from me. I've known him for a very long time.
Since I was 1, I think, 1 or 2, maybe my parents brought him up there. We played around in the front yard. He's always been a really fun kid to hang out with. He always makes everyone laugh, and he always lightens the mood. So it's been really fun.
We went in this pool a lot. We played. We used to ride bikes on the dirt path a lot.
We used to ride bikes, BMX a little bit, but mainly play hockey. Matty loves hockey, and he always wants to play street hockey. So after he scores a goal, even if it's just like a normal goal, even if it's not a game, he just goes down, shoots, and scores. They'll go over and celebrate like crazy and go give everyone high fives. Always positive, always looking to play hockey, loves social events, thrives in them. He's great with the ladies, I have to say.
What's so great about the ladies?
Because they're good looking.
I won't go too much into detail because I don't know, Matty might get mad because he's been on a few dates, but he doesn't want me to talk about it. One time the coaches found out, and it was actually the coach's niece who he went on a date with, and he was very mad at the person who told the coach. So 3 times a week he comes down and we play hockey, we play video games, we go out to eat, just the things he likes to do. Anything small he can do to help someone, he'll do.
Around 4th grade, he noticed that he was different, and that was really difficult for him. Middle school years were tough because other kids noticed that he was different.
As I hit middle school and it started getting more and more serious, because he started getting behind, is when I pretty much picked up on it.
We know something was a little bit different with because his diabetes started picking up, and he switched classes in 6th grade he was always in my normal classes, and then he switched to the Charms class in 6th grade.
He kind of was able to hide it in elementary school, but middle school years were difficult for him. And then I think also just he just
Yeah,
wanted
fit
to
in.
fit in. And that's difficult, when you're not like everybody else. He had to go there in 5th grade to the middle school to be in like a special learning center program. And I think he really developed a lot of confidence in that program, a lot of self-esteem.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, that could have been a disaster after that.
When he first came in as a freshman to Canton High, and it was my life skills class. It was for special education, and he was one of my students, and he's a leader for his peers and teach those kids a lot of good skills that I think it's hard for me to show what things look like, and Matty's able to kind of show and act what I would like from a typical student.
Matty is a reserved, kind person, but he has a great fun side to him. Very popular.
Yeah.
He knows everybody in the hall. That's how I've got to meet so many people through Mr. Popular.
He's just one of those guys that just kind of gets involved. His older brother and sister came through the high school, and I don't even think that really kind of set him off to be who he is. I think even if they weren't in the school system, I think he would have been just the same Matty.
Matty has made me realize that it is true. You live one day at a time, and you have to just laugh every day and smile and realize that life is good.
Well, we've had a couple of different diagnoses, so we've had a couple of different reactions.
Which ones? The diabetes, the
So at age
learning disability, or the big
discarriage.
one, the DK or DC?
I'm Bernard Cannan. I went to school in 1977 and graduated in 1983 in Dublin, Ireland. I'm the Chief of Pediatric Pulmonary and Sleep Medicine here. Disc keratosis congenita is an aging process, and it occurs at a molecular level. And at a molecular level, we all have chromosomes which package all our DNA. And what happens at the end of the chromosomes get shorter as we get older. So as a consequence, in this condition, you get premature aging of the chromosomes, and accordingly, you get premature aging of the individual.
Telomeres are like the little caps that protect your chromosomes. So think of it as like the plastic on the end of a shoelace. When that comes off, it kind of ravels away, and then the cell isn't able to replicate, and it just kind of dies away.
It's usually genetic. At this moment in time, most of them we can find a genetic cause.
So at the time that Matthew was being diagnosed, my brother, Michael, who was 40, was in liver failure at that time. And he kind of followed, there were kind of a lot of similarities between the two. And we never knew why Michael was so sick with the immune problems, with the diabetes. He also had learned some learning issues. And then when he went into liver failure, we said, hey, there's got to be some type of connection, because Matthew had just started to find, we just found out that his liver tests were off. And we said, hey, there's got to be some connection. Unfortunately, my brother passed away 6 months before Matthew was officially diagnosed.
Michael wasn't quite as sick as Matty is, and he was able to get his license and drive and work for a while. If you look at Matty, sometimes you see Michael in Matty. You have to go on. I have a daughter.
He lived to be 40, and we're grateful for that. He made
Right.
it to 40, and he worked, and
And I have three beautiful grandchildren.
yeah,
So, that's what
he was it.
life dishes out to you sometimes, and you have to
go on.
be strong for them.
That's right.
And it's sad.
Okay.
The lungs age, most people don't realize there are lung function declines as we get older. So what happens with the premature aging of the chromosomes, you also get premature aging of the lungs, and they actually get hard and fibrotic, and that's the main issue. And then similar sort of things happen in the liver, is again just aging of the liver with fibrosis.
I'm the clinical chief for PDGI, also the medical director for PD liver transplant, and I'm the chief of the liver program. In particular for the liver, it produces what's known as hepatic fibrosis, which is scarring in the liver. It also can lead to cirrhosis in the long run, which is where the liver shrinks or the intervening tissues become nodular, and so it becomes sort of bumpy and it stops functioning like it should. In dyskeratosis congenita, only 7% of patients of the handful, say about 200 patients have been reported, have liver disease. And of those, there's an even smaller number who's going to have the malignancy, so it's very rare.
It's not difficult to diagnose, but because it's so rare, you don't consider it. So it's not in your options to think about it.
I was at one hospital for a year and a half when I knew there was something really wrong with him. And I wasted that whole year and a half, and I think that might have helped my brother too, because it wasn't until he got really sick with went into liver failure, that I switched hospitals and went to a whole new team. So I think in hindsight, I wouldn't have waited as long, because it might have helped my brother too, and it might have helped put more pieces of the puzzle together. So
the things that you consider, what ages in the body first, and things that the big things you think about is bone marrow ages, and that's usually one of the first thing that fails.
Down the line is coming up. We were a perfect match for a bone marrow transplant, so I don't really know when that will be, but whenever it comes, I'm definitely going to be there for it and ready to do it.
Usually with the bone marrow transplant, there are infections, there are medications which are required, which may or may not affect the liver. So it's a tricky question, because one of the questions that arises is, which one should you do first? Should you do the bone marrow first, or should you do the liver first? The liver is usually not as sick as the bone marrow, so you end up having to do the bone marrow before you do the liver transplant.
The other questions is, what other systems fail? And as you told us, the immune system is the other system that fails. So if you don't make an immune system that it naturally ages. Now, when you think about naturally aging immune system, you make antibodies. That's part of an aging process. Now, if you lose that area, age prematurely, you do not make appropriate antibodies. Okay, your cells will not go to fight bacteria as well. So what you have to do is you have to give immunoglobulin from somebody else, donor immunoglobulin, so as to get his antibodies up to scratch. If you have a congenital malformation of any organ, including the lungs, you have a 20% chance of something else being affected. It occurred a little earlier, but it's not unusual. He's not unusual. These new drugs are coming out. So this is not 1990 with these new, they're old steroid type drugs, and they really do look like they're going to offer promise for him.
we really don't know a healthy child, to be honest. So I think his illness has always been a part of it, but we've tried to not make his life be, he was more than an illness, he was more than diabetes. We just tried to make him have as normal a childhood as we could, and we did that.
Well, the diabetes was worse than this when he was younger, because he couldn't go anywhere without one of us being there, or my mother, who had diabetes, because she knew how to take care of it. So no matter where he went, he had somebody with him, which was very difficult, because you could never go away. You could never send him off to a birthday party without me sitting in the parking lot or anywhere.
Oh my gosh, you couldn't ask for better siblings, I have to say. People have always said they're more mature.
Yeah.
Mature beyond their words. Nicole, hey, if we had to go out, they're responsible for, not that we want them to have to do that, but make sure he eats, make sure he checks his blood sugar. They have to learn how to work his pump. Nicole would drive home from college if Matty was having a bad day.
I would just come home randomly and surprise him with like a cheeseburger. He loves fast food, so I know that would always make his day. I'd just come home for the day and like take him out to lunch or dinner, so he was always happy.
I think with JC, with the whole hockey program, when Matty was a freshman and JC was a senior, Matty really wanted to help out with the team.
Probably around 7th or 8th grade. They started doing skills with all like the middle school kids, and he started participating more and more in it. And then our high school team would be there and helping out. My coach kind of caught wind of it and like his whole story and situation. And then coming into high school, they were like, he definitely needs to be part of the team as a manager. that's where it started.
And we said to JC, this is your year, it's your senior year, you know, what do you think about this? And he said, no problem, and he watched over him on the bus, and when Coach said he could skate, he laced up his skates for him, he took him to all the team dinners, you know, his friends accepted him. We just can't say enough about what JC, and he still does for him.
I like to eat food a lot, like McDonald's.
What makes McDonald's so good?
Because my papa takes me there every Tuesday. I get a French fry and a Diet Coke, and sometimes a cheeseburger.
Him and his grandpa, they have McDonald's Tuesday. He texts like 20 other kids, and everyone knows it's McDonald's Day. He always goes over his papa's house, even though he's broken a few of his papa's windows in his house shooting pucks. He loves his papa.
He watches me every Tuesdays, and he was a a detective in Canton for a long time.
The first question out of Matty's mouth is, can we get a snack? And we have to head for McDonald's. When he has doctor's appointments at Mass General in Boston, I usually ride in with his mother and him, and his mother will drive one way and I drive the other way home to kind of break it up. We go to all his hockey games where he helps with the team, you know, carrying the water bottles and carrying everything else they do.
There is something special about Canton hockey that predates since I've been here. And you know, growing up in South Boston, playing against Canton when I was younger, you knew that Canton was a hockey town, and you knew that Canton took its hockey seriously, in hockey was a part of the Canton community. Tradition is extremely important. It's what we talk about every single year. A lot of the players realize that their fathers played for Canton High School hockey, and that their brothers played for Canton High School hockey, and their uncles played for Canton High School hockey.
I played varsity hockey for Canton High School when it first started in 1960. Well, actually, it was 1958 to 1960. We had a very small team. Not many players, not many men went out for it. Boys went out for it. And they didn't have naturally the equipment or the rinks that they have now, but we had a good team and it was a great sport and we enjoyed ourselves.
Knowing that those people gave it their all and did their best is a comforting thing, but it's also a responsibility to, as a Canton High School hockey player, give it your best as well. To carry on that tradition of success and pride in the town is a responsibility that I hope every Canton hockey player realizes.
I had him at Learn to Skate when he was like 4 and he hated it.
He hated it.
I think it was because he was cold.
Yeah.
He hated it. Then I don't know. When
he didn't skate for a long time. And then I think it was like middle school, he kept saying to me, I really want to play hockey.
I first met Matty when he was in 7th or 8th grade. I was actually running the skill sessions down the Ponkapog rink for the middle school program. And all of his friends were out on the ice, 7th and 8th graders. Matty came out and skated on the ice for the first time during these sessions. I knew who Matty was because I coached his older brother JC, and it was the first time I really was introduced to Matty.
Because of all his issues, he couldn't really skate like on a team. It just wasn't safe for him. And then I just Googled special hockey teams in Massachusetts, and lo and behold, there were 2 teams.
I played now in the team called the Boston Bear Cubs.
It's a hockey program. It's not like a Learn to Skate. They have hockey gear on, they have team shirts, they go to tournaments. We're going to Lake Placid in a couple of weeks. And no matter how awful he feels, he will get up to go on a Saturday morning to go and skate with all the guys. And if you watch him when he goes for the first 45 minutes, he's just out there chatting.
Shooting the shit. Yeah, he don't.
Just chatting with everybody.
He likes all the helpers more.
He started off with us as a freshman officially.
Started out as water boy.
You know, he was around before then with JC, and when JC was on the team, but he was officially the general manager. He wasn't the team manager; he was the general manager. And you know, I would give him various responsibilities, but a lot of times I would ask him about personnel decisions and whether we should, you know, fire Coach Rocha and have some good laughs over that. And then he was promoted to CEO, and that's when he started making some of his higher executive decisions as a sophomore, making, you know, new hires and whatnot. And then after that, he's promoted to the chairman, and his junior year and senior year was given, I think, the finest title of honorary captain. What's happened over the years is that you've seen Matty assert himself more on the team. I mean, his junior year was the first time he started giving speeches. Well, the first thing was to make sure that that Matty could do it. So I remember emailing his mom and dad at home, saying, is this something that that Matty's doctors would approve of, that they would okay? Are you guys okay with this? And that was the first go-ahead that we got. That absolutely things would be good to go. Stoughton High School, to me, is coached by one of the classiest and best coaches in the state, and that's Dan Mark. And he was the only person that I really wanted to sort of share this moment with. Ran the idea by him, and he was thrilled. I mean, he said, absolutely, done. And after that, it was just a matter of putting the pieces together. Matty walking out of the locker room, going on the ice, and all of a sudden, Stoughton scored, and it was his shift. And I remember saying something to him right before he went out there, giving some sort of instructions.
Take your face off right now. Take this right now. Remember, put it back in. Go straight down the middle. Go straight down the middle, right? Bury it, right? Go left side, right? Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Before I know it, puck's dropped, he goes down, he scores, and then the mob of players in the corner was just something I'll never forget.
This is all he has outside of school, is this hockey team. And it gets him together with kids, and he enjoys the team dinners and the bus rides. And, when it ends for everybody else, they move on to different things. They're thinking about college, and they're just on different sports. And when it ends for him, that's it. And that's really hard for him.
All the practice, the hard work he goes to, and then all of a sudden he got to skate.
For him to be able to just put on the shirt and go out there and skate like everybody else. Again, that was probably our dream, but I think his dream too. He said, I scored a goal for my papa because it was his birthday. Yep. So, yep. Yeah.
It was nice to see him smile and see him happy, and then we were all happy amongst tears.
That was awesome. It was just so great seeing someone.
To see everyone go crazy for him, and to see him go, his reaction, his parents' reaction, it was amazing. And I've seen him do that in the driveway so many times, and just to see it happen in a real game in front of everyone, which is always what he's been dreaming for, it was awesome.
Let's pretend right now this is your one shift. How hard do you go? This is your one shift right now.
We still got Maffeo on defense. Along with Jenkins, he's going to go in goal. It's Look at his teammates leave off the bench. Skating down the red back on an involving Matty. Oh, what a moment, too. He split the defense, Joe.
It meant everything to me as a coach because it meant the world to Matty. It meant the world to his teammates and his family. I mean, there's nothing better as a coach than when you see someone as special as Matty, someone as special as his teammates enjoy that moment so much. Seeing Matty's parents, John and Sue, and seeing their reaction, because to me that was just the greatest thing in the world. Matty has made me a better person. He has made me a better coach. He's made me a better father. He's made me realize that this is a silly little game that I coach, that there are bigger issues and there are bigger reasons as to why I'm a teacher and a coach. For every single game I ask him, what do you think? What's your prediction? What's the score going to be? And Matty would always say something like, 2-1 10-1 or 9-0, and that's who he is. He's just he got a great sense of humor. He's forever the optimist. I see him touching more lives like he's already done at Canton High School. I see him continuing to be a fixture in this community and to bring this community together, and I see him continuing to grow as a person and realizing that he has these gifts, because that's one of the things that I've seen in these past 4 years, is that he understands that people look up to him, respect him, love him, and he has used those gifts for so much good, and he's going to continue to do it, and I know he is, and I know he's going to continue to touch the lives of other people. I look forward to coaching with him for the years to come, because he has been officially promoted to the title of associate coach. So I'm looking forward for the fun continuing.
My word to describe Matty would be he's pure.
Determined.
Determined. Mine would be he's pure, because with everything that's thrown at him, nothing can contaminate his soul. Nothing. And that's just who he is to me. And yours is determined?
Always determined to get something done.
I'd say he's irreplaceable. I feel like he is your rare kid who just is so delightful to be around. Everyone loves him. He's just very kind. There's just so many words I could describe him.
Really respected. After people start to hear his whole background, his story, after that they were like, oh, this kid has really been through a lot, and we're gonna make sure we make it the best for him right now.
Inspirational. And I think that the reason why he's so inspirational is because, given the challenges that he has in his own life, with his own health, and the bad luck that in many ways characterizes his health issues, you would never know it. And he is someone that never, ever I've heard complain.
Amazing. Just one of those kids all around. I know I've seen him playing hockey in Quincy with his hockey team, to helping out with the Canton High School hockey team, to being the prom king, to being just the typical mayor of Canton High School. He's just all around amazing kid.
He really is a one-of-a-kind kid. It's changed my life to know him, and it's been a privilege to know him, and who I am as a person. The Canton Hockey as their identity as a program would be, and Canton High, I think, would be different without Matty, and would not be as great as they are now.
I just think that Matty has just taught so many people. That's what he's here for. He's teaching people just about kindness and respect, and really, I think that's what he's here for. So he's teaching kids so much bigger lessons than they could learn in any school. So we're grateful for that.
Just loving. I don't know, how would you describe him?
One word? It's hard to think of a word. There's probably many.
He's just precious to us.
Yeah, precious to us. That's right.
Right. And I don't have any other words. That's all I can say for that. I'm just hoping he lives a long life, and maybe they could find a cure. That would be a biggie, to help him even to live longer. So, very happy for him, and we couldn't imagine that this would ever happen for him all this year especially. So, and it just isn't one person, it's all of you, and the coaches, and the special ed teachers. They've done 100% to get him to graduate and get his diploma. I think, what more could you ask? So.
We're not quite sure what's
Next.
We have the whole health issue. This disease is progressive. It's gonna get worse in the next couple of years. There's a lot of things he can't do because of his illness. There's a lot of things he can't do because he can't take care of his diabetes on his own. He can't be in a lot of public areas because of his immune system. Schooling he wants no part of.
Yeah, he's done with
He's
that.
done with that, so, and he's kind of, he's got a lot of social skills, so it's kind of hard where he's in that gray area, where is he gonna fit in? So we're not quite sure.
He wants to work at the new rink.
He would like to work at the new hockey rink.
Do you want to give them any advice on how to be happy?
Smile, have fun, and take a deep breath in.